Hello students, welcome back. Let us carry forward with the same chapter, that is improvement in food resources. In our previous lecture, whatever we have done, let us recapitulate it. Okay, we started with improving the plant as the food resource, and we studied that there are 3 steps. Okay, the first one, crop variety improvement, the second one, crop production improvement, and the last one, crop protection management. Okay, and then we studied crop variety improvement in detail. The crop variety improvement is done by the process called as breeding. Okay, and breeding in plant have 3 steps: introduction, selection, and hybridization. Okay, introduction, you collect the seed; your selection, you grow and select the seed; and third, hybridization, you cross the seeds. Okay, now this crossing, let us do more of it. This crossing can be done in different ways. Interspecific, the first type. Okay, interspecific, what it is? It is done between 2 different species. Okay, the crossing between 2 different species. Intergeneric, between 2 different genus. Okay, the hierarchy of classification: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. So between different genus you called as intergeneric. Interspecific, between 2 different species. And intervariety, okay, between different variety of crops. So these are the way by which I can do hybridization, and the crop which I get by the hybridization is known as a hybrid crop or a hybrid seed if I get a seed. Okay, same way I have the another way, that is recombinant DNA technology, in which I incorporate the gene and put it into the seed directly, and such a plant is called as a genetically modified plant. Then we studied about the 6 characteristics for which the breeding is done, starting with higher yield, then improved quality, biotic and abiotic resistance, wider adaptability, change in maturity duration, and your desirable agronomics. Today we will start with crop production management. Okay, now we are assuming that we have sown the seed and selected the seeds. Now how will we manage the crop during production when it is growing? Okay, now crop production management have 3 ways. The first thing is crop production management during for the nutrients. Okay, so nutrient management. The next one is irrigation, and the last one is connected to both of this. So first we will do nutrient management, then irrigation, and then we will go to the last one. Let us see the nutrient. Now the nutrient of the plant they get from the soil, water, and air. Okay, so there are basically 16 type of plant nutrients. Okay, and they get this from soil, water, and air. From air, what will they get? They will get carbon dioxide and oxygen. That is, if I want to write the proper element, it is carbon and oxygen. Fine. Then water, they will get again hydrogen and oxygen. Right. The next one is soil. So oxygen, if I cancel out, there are 16 nutrients which they get from soil. Okay. Now out of this 16, you have carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen which they get from air and water, and there are 13 nutrients which they get from soil. Out of this 13, there are 6 nutrients which are required by them in a larger quantity. That's why they are called as macronutrients. And then there are 7 which are required in a smaller quantity. That's why they are called as micronutrients. So first one, 6 are micro, and the another one is macro and micro. Fine. Let us first study the nutrient management in detail. The production management can be done by 3 things: nutrient management, irrigation, and the last one is interrelated to it. Why it is interrelated, you will come to know later. Okay, let me write down again. Nutrition are of 16 types. Okay, air, water, air they get carbon and oxygen, water, hydrogen, and from your soil they get the remaining 13, out of which 6 are macro, required in large quantity, and the remaining 7 are micro. Let us list down which are the macronutrients. They are nitrogen, sulfur, potassium, phosphorus, calcium, magnesium. These are the 6 which are required in larger quantity. Let us go to the micronutrients. Molybdenum, chlorine, manganese, magnesium, iron, zinc, manganese is over here, boron, and one more cobalt. So these are the ones which are required in smaller quantities. Macro ones, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, potassium, calcium and magnesium, that's why they are required in more quantity, macronutrients. Micro required in smaller quantity, molybdenum, chlorine, manganese, boron, iron, zinc and cobalt. Now you all know how do we apply nutrients to the soil. The soil have its own nutrient content, right? But apart from it, you can also give the soil nutrients, and we give the soil nutrients in the form of fertilizer, right? So let us study how we will give the nutrients to the soil. Okay, you can also give fertilizer, or you can go in for manure. Okay, so the nutrition can be either by giving manure or fertilizer. Let us take the first one, manure in detail. Okay, now manure can be either green manure, okay, or it can be either a compost. Now when I say green manure, what does it come? It is not green in color. The thing over here, why do we label it as green manure is because we use a plant only as a manure. Okay, so whatever plant is very rich in nutrient, like there are certain weeds. Okay, what are weeds? They are undesirable plants. We do not require them. Okay, like sun hemp, cowpox, they all are. Let me write down cowpea and sun hemp. They are very high in nutrient content. Okay, so you grow, before growing the actual crop, you grow these plants. Okay, and after that you irrigate it. Okay, so that it can grow properly, and then you move the tractor on it. So what you are doing, you are killing the plants. Okay, so these plants will get mixed with the soil, and since it gets mixed with the soil, it will be kind of a manure. And since you are using a plant as a manure, you say such type of giving of a manure as green manure. Okay, now composting again can be of two types: simple compost and then vermicompost. Okay, now in simple compost, you just take all the waste of the plant and animals and dig a big pit, and then you keep on adding them, and then you close the pit so that the whole soil will use the same compost as the manure. In vermicompost, you use the worm, and which worm will you use? The farmer's friend, that is the earthworm. Okay, so instead of compost over here, along with the compost, you add the worms. Okay, little amount of compost and worms, because this earthworm takes the soil in and breaks down into more smaller chunks so that the nutrient can be easily absorbed by the plant. Okay, so the nutrient can be managed by either giving manure or fertilizer. Manure you can give by two types, either green manure. What are you doing over here? In green manure, you are growing a plant which will serve as a manure. And in compost, you can have simple compost where you put all the waste and allow the soil to degrade it by itself, or you can have vermicomposting. What are you doing in vermicomposting? You are adding the earthworm, okay, so that it can break down the soil nutrients into smaller chunks and it can easily absorb it. The plant can easily absorb it. Okay, apart from this, there is one type of farming which is nowadays very famous. Let me discuss that also with you all. Here only I'll add on organic farming. Okay, why organic farming? Because we all know the disadvantages of fertilizers. Okay, like if I use more amount of fertilizer, it can cause leaching, which you studied in 8th standard in crop production and management, right? It causes leaching, where the excess amount of fertilizers goes to the river body and the river plants and aquatic animals get affected. Okay, so you have organic farming over here. In organic farming, what we do is we use biopesticides, biofertilizers, okay, and all the things which are biologically made. Okay, now what is your same? You can either use manure for organic farming, or instead of manure you use microorganisms like the leguminous organism or the rhizomes. What do? They add the nutrients to the soil. Okay, they take the soil and their nutrients which are required, they throw out in the form of the waste, like your rhizomes, your leguminous plant, or the organism which are present in the root nodules. Okay, so this organism throw out the waste, and this waste is your manure, actually a manure for the soil. So in organic farming, you reduce the use of fertilizer and you use more of biological things like your manure, or you can use organisms for the same. Okay, now fertilizers, again we have studied it. There are of two types. One fertilizer which is what? One which is chemical, and the another one which is natural. Okay, now natural fertilizers will be somewhat same as manure, or all the waste will fall under your natural fertilizer. Even your neem tree, bark of the neem tree is used as a fertilizer. It kills the pest of the soil and then it provides the nutrient. And chemical will be surely made up of chemical things. Okay, so which one will be more better, natural or chemical? The natural one is more better for as a fertilizer for the soil, because it do not have any side effect, whereas the chemical, I just said you, it have a problem of leaching. Okay, where the excess amount of fertilizers goes through the river body, nearby river body, and will get what? It will harm the aquatic plants and animals. So leaching, to avoid leaching, you can go in for natural fertilizer, but the problem with natural fertilizer is it do not get absorbed fast. Okay, whatever natural fertilizer you add, like the peels of the vegetables or fruits, first it will get degraded and then it will get absorbed, whereas chemical fertilizers are in simple form. So what happens here is it will directly get absorbed by the soil. That's why the farmer are using more amount of chemical fertilizer. But in long run, these chemical fertilizers are harmful for the plant and the soil. The soil loses its natural ability to prepare humus. Okay, what is humus? The organic content of the soil. So whenever the soil, okay, you add on, keeping on adding the peels of the fruits and vegetable and cow dung and all, so the soil have the natural ability to prepare this humus. But when you keep on adding the chemical fertilizer, it will stop producing the humus. In simple ways, suppose there is a person who cooks very good, okay, and he cooks and he eats because he cooks. Now the same type of food I am providing him, okay, in free of cost. I am providing him. Will that person again cook? Will he or she use the energy? No. Why? Because he or she is getting the same amount of food in free of cost. Now when he was cooking, he used to go and buy it, right? Then his labor, his energy was going, right? Same way over here, the chemical fertilizers is preferred by the farmers. Why? Because it is faster. Okay, so the nutrition can be enhanced by two ways, manure or fertilizers. Manure, there are two types. Which are they? Green manure, where you use a plant, or composting, which can be either simple compost or vermicompost. Then you can even have fertilizer, natural fertilizer which are made from natural thing, or chemical which are made from chemical thing. Then other way of improving the nutrition is organic farming, where you use biological things as a manure, okay, so that the soil ability is retained and the soil quality and the quality of plant is also Good. Now let us go to the next way of crop production management, that is irrigation. What is irrigation? Artificial watering of plant. Okay. So the other way of crop production management is irrigation. Okay. Now the irrigation over here can be done, we are here focusing mostly on 4 different types. The first one is irrigation by well. Okay. The next one is you can use even tanks. Okay, well, you all already know what is a well. It is a ground which is dug. Okay, now it can be either manually I am taking the water from the well, or I can have pumps. I can have hand pumps or the motors which will go deep down into the soil and will collect the water and give it. Tank, I store the water. It can be either from river, or nowadays we have rainwater harvesting. For the same reason also we can create a tank in which the rainwater will be stored, and then whenever it is required I will use it. The next is canal systems. Canal systems are generally done where river is nearby. Okay, so there is a long pipe or a canal which is connected to the river, and it will bring that river water to a particular place, and from that the canal is divided. Okay, the canal is divided so that the nearby area land, agricultural land, can get the water. And the last one is river lift system. This one is generally done at the places where there is too much amount of water in the river. Okay, the river have a huge amount of water, or you can say that the rivers which are very huge. Okay, such rivers will have river lift system where you lift the water of the river and either store it or either give at the same time to the nearby agricultural land. Okay. So this is river lift system. So it is all about irrigation. What is irrigation? Artificial watering of plants. Okay, it can be either by well, tank, canal or river lift system. Apart from this, you have also studied drip irrigation, right, in your previous class. That is, drop by drop the water goes and falls at that particular place. This drip irrigation and sprinkler irrigation, where you have motor which is connected to a sprinkler, a fountain type which will irrigate the land. Okay. Sprinkler irrigation is also known as artificial rain. Okay, why? Because it is a kind of fountain from down, so it appears like a artificial rain. And drip irrigation is also known as drop by drop irrigation. Okay, these both things are used for saving water. Okay, these are the modern techniques, these are the old techniques. So the modern techniques, these both are used for saving water. As you all know, we have water scarcity. So for saving the water, we can have either drip irrigation or sprinkler irrigation. So the last part of crop production management, I said both are related to each other. Okay, you have nutrients which can be managed by either adding the fertilizers, and you can irrigate the land. Okay, now if you do not have that much amount of money to add the nutrients, the other way for doing the crop production management is cropping pattern. Okay, we can crop or we can grow the plant in different ways, differentiating between the crops by cropping pattern. This is generally done, or it can be also a part of organic farming. Okay, I am not using fertilizers, I am just using the same crops but sowing them in different ways. Okay, so there are 3 ways of cropping pattern. First is mixed cropping. The name itself says what I will do. All the 3 cropping patterns are self-explanatory. Then I have crop rotation and I have intercropping. Okay, so these are the 3 ways of different cropping patterns. First, in mixed cropping, now sometime it may happen that the farmer grows one type of crop in a particular land, okay, and suppose that particular crop get infested by the pest. So what will happen in that case? The whole crop will get spoiled, okay, and we all know that the pests are specific to a particular crop. So to avoid that, the farmer will get no amount of the extra income, okay, the income will be stopping. Why? Because the whole crop will get damaged. So to avoiding that, the farmers do mixed cropping, where they grow different crops in the same land. Suppose this yellow color is one crop, this is the other crop, and these are the other crops. So mixed cropping is growing different crop in the same piece of land and at the same time, okay. So this is mixed cropping. Now let us go to intercropping first and then to crop rotation. In intercropping, you again grow more than one number of crop, but here you do not mix the seed and throw. Here you grow them in a proper pattern. How? Suppose this is one type of crop, so I will grow a full layer or full line of one crop, then I will go to the next crop, and then I will go to the next crop, okay. This is intercropping, where you grow more than one number of crop, but in a proper pattern. In mixed cropping, you do not grow in a pattern, you mix the seeds and grow together, so that if a pest infests a particular crop, you will get other two crops or other crops which you have grown as the income. And here in mixed cropping, intercropping, you grow them again together, but in a proper pattern. So what happens? The harvesting over here becomes easier, okay. Each crop have different harvesting patterns also, okay. So harvesting over here will become difficult and harvesting over here will become easier. Now these crops, when I am selecting for intercropping, they are managed in such way that they have different nutritional requirement. Like this will require nitrogen, then this should require phosphorus, this should require sulfur, in such a way, so that the maximum number of the nutrients from the soil can be absorbed. So that is intercropping. Okay, the only difference between mixed cropping and intercropping is what? You are using two or more crops. Seeds are sown at the same time. But in mixed cropping, you mix the seeds. So the harvesting becomes difficult. Whereas in intercropping, you grow them in a proper pattern within the same patch of time and same patch of land. The land will also be same, the time will also be same. Here also the land is same, the time is also same. But they are grown in a haphazard way. Here they are grown in a pattern. And while selecting the seeds, I take care that I am selecting the seeds so that maximum different types of nutrients can be utilized from the same soil. Going to the last type, that is crop rotation. In crop rotation, I grow two seeds, but they are grown one after the another. Like this is my patch of land, okay. I grow over here wheat, okay. Now wheat is a plant which will take maximum amount of nitrogen. So what will happen? The soil will now become deficient in nitrogen, right? So instead of adding fertilizer, I grow in the next time, okay. I will harvest the wheat. After that, instead of adding fertilizer and growing the wheat again, what I do over here is I will grow a crop which will add the nitrogen, like your leguminous plant, okay. Example of leguminous plant is your pea. Pea is what? Vatana, and fenugreek, methi. Okay, these all are leguminous plant. They will add the nitrogen to the soil. So in crop rotation, I rotate the crop one after the another. I do not grow together. Okay, I grow one crop which takes the nutrient, then I grow another crop which adds the nutrient. So the nutrients are added, then I will grow again the first crop, that is wheat. Once it is harvested, I will grow the next crop. So these are the three different types of cropping pattern, okay. And these cropping pattern are also used for organic farming. Why? Because I am not using fertilizers over here. Fine. Let us recapitulate crop production management. Crop production management can be done by three ways. By either managing the nutrients, okay, by using manure or fertilizer. Manure can be either vermicompost or simple manure. Vermicompost, what I am doing, I am adding the worms, okay, or the compost, that is the fruit, peels and all. Your green manure, what we are doing, that the second type of manuring, we are using the plants as a manure like a sun, hemp and cowpea. Okay. The next one is fertilizer, where I can have natural fertilizer or chemical fertilizer. Now natural and chemical fertilizer and manure, both, apart from these both, we have organic farming, where we use only biological material so that the humus content and the soil quality is maintained. Okay. The next one is irrigation. Irrigation can be either by well, canal, river lift system, okay, where the area's water is less, but the river will be used for directly drawing the water. Canal will be taking the water from the river and drawing it in a canal, and then the canals are further divided so that the water can be absorbed, and the tanks. Then you have the cropping pattern. Cropping pattern are again of 3 types: mixed cropping, crop rotation, intercropping. Mixed cropping, you mix the seeds and add. So harvesting becomes difficult over here, but the pest control and the income will be maintained. Like if this crop does not grow, I know that the other will grow. Intercropping, where I am cropping the seeds or growing the seeds in a particular pattern. From one line, then I will have the another line, then I will have the another line. So the harvesting becomes easier, whereas I take care that all the nutrients of the soil can be utilized. Crop rotation mein, I do not grow 2 or more seeds together. I grow one seed which takes the nutrient, second seeds which add the nutrients. Now after that again the way round, then again the wheat, and then again the leguminous plant. Okay. In the next lecture we will study about crop protection management. Thank you.
Hope this video increased your knowledge. For more such videos and a completely free educational content, log on to www.epathshala.org or visit our ePathshala YouTube channel. We have each and every question solved for maths, physics, chemistry and biology. So subscribe our channel, share with your friends, like our Facebook page and follow our Twitter handle for regular updates and important educational tips, and also win ePathshala goodies. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe this channel and enjoy the freedom of education.